Hello, and welcome to a quiet place. Tonight, we are not here to solve problems. We are not here to calculate the future or to count the worries of the past. We are here to do something much simpler. We are here to understand the beauty of nothing. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and let it out slowly. Imagine for a moment that your mind is a blackboard. It is covered in white chalk numbers, lists, schedules, noises. It is crowded. Now imagine a soft eraser slowly moving from the top left corner all the way to the bottom right, erasing the noise, erasing the clutter, leaving behind only a smooth, dark, empty surface. This empty space is not a lack of something. It is peace. It is potential. In mathematics, we call this space zero. For the next few hours, I want to tell you the story of this number. It is a story that traveled across deserts, crossed oceans, and survived centuries of fear just to bring order to our universe. It is the history of the circle, the history of the void. So adjust your pillow. Pull the blanket up to your shoulders. Let your body sink into the mattress, heavy and warm. Let's begin our journey back in time to a world where zero did not yet exist. Imagine a world without emptiness. It sounds full, doesn't it? But a world without empty space is a world where you cannot move, a world where you cannot breathe. Long ago, before history was written in books, it was written in stone. 5,000 years ago, beneath the hot sun of Mesopotamia, what we now call Iraq, people were busy. They were building cities. They were planting wheat. And they were counting. But they did not have the gentle circle of zero to help them. Imagine you are a shepherd in those ancient fields. The sun is setting, painting the sky in deep purples and oranges. The air is cooling down. You need to count your sheep as they return to the fold. 1, 2, 3. You pick up a stone for each sheep. 1 stone, 2 stones, 10 stones. The bag at your waist gets heavier. Counting was physical. Counting was weight. To know how much you had to hold it in your hand. There was no symbol for nothing. If you had no sheep, you simply had silence. You had an empty hand. There was no way to write it down. Why would you write down something that isn't there? It seemed unnecessary, and yet this lack of nothing made everything difficult. Think of the numbers we use today. 10, 100, 1,000. That little circle at the end, the zero, it does magic. It tells us that the one is no longer just one single thing. It has moved. It has grown. It tells us there is an empty space in the ones column, pushing the one into the tens column. 0 is a placeholder. It is a seat that stays empty so the king can sit in the right place. But the ancient Sumerians, and later the Babylonians, they struggled with this. They wrote on wet clay tablets. They used a reed stylus, pressing it into the soft earth to make wedge shapes. This was called cuneiform. Imagine the sound. Sound effect. Soft squishing of clay. Rhythmic tapping. Tap. 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 1 wedge meant 1. 2 wedges meant 2. 60 was a special number for them, like 100 is for us. But sometimes they would run into a problem. How do you write the difference between the number 1 and the number 60 or 3,600? If you don't have a 0 to hold the empty space, they all look the same. It's just a mark. Imagine reading a sentence where there are no spaces between the words. It would be a long, confusing stream of letters. That is what math was like without 0. It was confusing. It required context. You had to guess. Did he mean 1 basket of grain or 60 baskets? The scribes sitting in their cool mud brick rooms felt this frustration. They needed a way to say, there is nothing here in this column, and so they began to leave a gap. Just a space, a breathing room in the clay. If they wanted to write 101, they would write 1, then leave a gap, then write another 1. That gap was the grandfather of 0, but it wasn't a number yet. It was just a pause, a silence in the conversation of mathematics. Let your mind rest on that image for a moment. A tablet of wet clay drying in the afternoon sun, covered in marca, but here and there, a smooth, untouched space. A space where nothing is happening. That space is like the moment between your breaths. Breathe in, pause, breathe out. That pause is not empty. It is essential. Without the pause, you would be gasping. Without the gap in the clay, the numbers would crash into each other. The Babylonians used this gap for centuries. Later, they invented a small symbol, 2 little slanted wedges, to mark the empty spot. It looked a bit like a pair of sleeping eyes. But it still wasn't a number. You couldn't add it. You couldn't subtract it. You couldn't multiply by it. It was just a punctuation mark, a sign that said, skip this place. There is nothing to count here. It's interesting, isn't it? How hard it is for the human mind to accept that nothing is actually something. We are afraid of the dark. We are afraid of silence. We fill our houses with furniture. We fill our days with tasks. We fill our ears with noise. We are like the ancient scribes, afraid to leave a gap. But tonight, we are learning to love the gap. As we leave the dusty plains of Babylon, let's travel west to a place of white marble columns, blue seas, and brilliant thinkers. To ancient Greece. Surely the Greeks, the fathers of geometry, the lovers of logic, surely they would understand zero. Surprisingly, no, the Greeks loved shapes. They loved what they could see and touch. A square, a triangle, a circle. Pythagoras, Archimedes, Euclid. They saw numbers as lengths of lines. You can have a line that is 2 meters long. You can have a line that is 5 meters long. But can you have a line that is 0 meters long? No. That is not a line. That is a point. It has vanished. For the Greeks, the universe was logical. It was built on things that existed. How can nothing be something? They asked. If numbers represent real things, like apples or stars, then 0 apples mean no apples. It doesn't mean the number 0 exists. They were deeply suspicious of the void. Philosophers like Aristotle argued that a vacuum, a truly empty space, was impossible. Nature abhors a vacuum. If there is empty space, something must rush in to fill it. Air, water, light. And because they didn't believe in the void, they rejected 0. It feels tense, doesn't it? A whole civilization, brilliant and bright, fighting against the concept of rest, fighting against the concept of emptiness. It is like a mind that cannot sleep, a mind that keeps thinking, I must be something, I must be doing, I cannot just be. The Greeks built magnificent temples. They calculated the circumference of the earth, but their math was rigid. It was heavy, like their stone pillars. It lacked the fluid, dreamlike quality of 0. They were missing the soft pillow. They were missing the dark night sky. So let us leave the bright, sunny, logical world of Greece. It is too loud for us right now. It is too full of questions. Let us travel east. Let us cross the high mountains of the Himalayas. The air gets thin. The snow is deep. We are moving towards a culture that did not fear the emptiness. A culture that saw the void not as a lack of life, but as the source of all life. We are going to India, but before we arrive, feel your body getting heavier. The Babylonians gave us a gap in the clay. The Greeks gave us the fear of the void. But we need more than a gap. We need a home. Imagine yourself walking along a quiet path at night. The stars are out, millions of them. But look at the space between the stars. The darkness. It holds the stars, doesn't it? Without the black canvas, the stars would have nowhere to shine. Zero is that darkness. It is the canvas. In the next part of our story, we will meet the man who finally gave this darkness a name. He gave it a shape, a circle, the shape of the sun, the shape of the moon, the shape of a cycle that never ends. But for now, rest in the space between the chapters. Rest in the gap. Rest in the zero. Welcome to India. We have traveled thousands of miles and thousands of years. We are now in the 5th century. The air here feels different. It is heavy with the scent of jasmine and sandalwood. It is humid and warm. While the Greeks were building square temples and arguing that nothing could not exist, the thinkers in India were sitting under banyan trees, closing their eyes and looking inward. They were meditating. And what happens when you meditate? You try to clear your mind. You try to remove the thoughts one by one. You try to reach a state of stillness, a state of nothingness. In the West, nothing meant death. It meant failure. But here in the East, nothing meant freedom. In Buddhism and Hinduism, there is a concept called nirvana or shunyata. It means emptiness. But it is not a sad emptiness. It is like a pot. A pot is useful not because of the clay walls, but because of the empty space inside. That empty space can hold water. It can hold food. It can hold life. To be empty is to be ready to receive. So when the mathematicians of ancient India looked at their numbers, they didn't fear the void. They welcomed it. They knew that the void was the background of the universe. Listen to the Sanskrit word for zero, shunya. Pause, shunya. It sounds soft, doesn't it? Like a breath leaving the body. It means void, or hollow, or empty. Like the inside of a bamboo flute, the music comes from the emptiness inside the flute. This cultural difference changed everything. Because they were not afraid of the concept, they were able to tame it. They were able to turn philosophy into mathematics. Imagine a scholar sitting on the stone steps of a temple in the city of Gwalior. The night sky above him is a blanket of diamonds. He is counting the stars. He writes down his calculations on a palm leaf or a birch bark manuscript. He reaches a point where a number cancels itself out. 5 minus 5. In the West, the calculation would just stop. But here, the scholar smiles. He writes down a symbol. He has given nothing a name. He has given nothing a home among the numbers. Let us move forward to the 7th century, to the city of Ujjain. This was the center of astronomy, the Greenwich of the ancient world. Here lived a man named Brahmagupta. He was an astronomer and a mathematician. He spent his nights looking at the planets, tracking their slow, sleepy dance across the sky. Brahmagupta did something revolutionary, something that no human had ever done before. He wrote a book called the Brahmasfuta Siddhanta, a long, difficult name, but it holds a simple secret. In this book, he treated zero not just as a placeholder, not just as a gap in the clay like the Babylonians, but as a number, a real number, a citizen of the kingdom of math with the same rights as the number 1 or 5 or 9. He wrote down rules for this new number. Listen to how gentle these rules sound. They sound like poetry. When Shunya is added to a number, the number remains unchanged. Think about that. 0 is the number of non-interference. It is like water flowing over a rock. The rock is still a rock. 0 touches it, but does not change it. When Shunya is subtracted from a number, the number remains unchanged. It takes nothing. It demands nothing. But then Brahmagupta explored the darker side, the side of debt and loss. He was the first to understand negative numbers. He called positive numbers fortune and negative numbers debt. And 0, 0 was the balance point. The moment when your debts are paid and you have exactly enough peace. He wrote, 0 minus a debt is a fortune. It's strange logic, but it's true. If you take away a burden, you gain lightness. Brahmagupta gave the world a gift. He taught us that nothing is not useless. Nothing is the pivot point upon which the whole world turns. It is the center of the seesaw. Without the center, the seesaw cannot move. Now, let's visualize the shape. How do you draw nothing? If you look at the ancient manuscripts, at first 0 was just a dot, a tiny black dot called a bindu. A dot is the seed of creation. In Indian philosophy, the universe begins as a single point of concentrated energy and expands into everything we see. So 0 was the seed, the potential. But over time, the dot grew. It opened up. It became a circle. 0. Why a circle? Look at the full moon hanging in the sky. It is a circle of light in the darkness. Look at the sun. a circle of fire. Look at the horizon. A circle of earth. Look at the cycle of life. Birth, life, death, and rebirth. It is a wheel. The Dharma chakra. The circle has no beginning. It has no end. You can trace your finger around it forever. It is infinite, yet it encloses an empty space. The shape of zero is a wall that protects the emptiness inside. It says, "Here in this space is a sanctuary. Here nothing can hurt you." When you look at the number 10 or 20 or 100, look at the zeros. They are like bubbles of air. They make the number lighter. They make the number float. Imagine the number 1000. 1, followed by 3 moons, 3 bubbles, 3 empty spaces. It looks balanced. It looks stable. This simple circle traveled from the palm leaves of India, etched in ink, ready to begin its journey west. But the journey would not be easy. The world was not ready for this quiet wisdom. But for now, let's stay in India a little longer. Let's stay in the safety of the Shunya. I want you to try a small visualization with me. Imagine your breath is a circle. Inhale. Imagine the circle rising up the right side. Exhale. Imagine the circle flowing down the left side. At the bottom of the exhale, there is a tiny pause before the next breath begins. That pause is your personal zero. It is the moment of pure rest. Your heart beats. Then it rests. You think. Then you rest. The universe expands. Then it rests. Zero is the reminder that rest is half of life. Without the zero, the math falls apart. Without sleep, the mind falls apart. So do not be afraid of the emptiness of sleep. Do not be afraid of the dark. The dark is just a bindu, a dot, a seed from which your dreams will grow. As the sun sets on the temples of Gwalior, the knowledge of zero begins to pack its bags. It is time to travel again. The merchants are loading their camels. The Silk Road is waiting. Zero is about to cross the shifting sands to meet the golden age of Islam. It is about to change its name from Shunya to Sifr, but the road is long and the night is deep. Let us rest here for a moment under the ancient Indian sky, wrapped in the blanket of the void. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is missing. There is just nothing. And that is beautiful. The wind begins to pick up, shifting the sands of the Thar Desert. We are leaving the lush temples of India behind, embarking on a long, slow journey westward. The concept of zero Shunya is no longer just a dot on a palm leaf. It is a passenger. It travels in the saddlebags of merchants tucked between spices and silks. It travels in the minds of astronomers who navigate by the stars. The road is long and dusty. The sun is hot, but the nights are cool and vast. Imagine the caravan moving slowly across the dunes, the rhythmic swaying of the camels, the soft thud of padded feet on the sand, step by step, mile by mile, carrying the most valuable cargo of all an idea. For centuries, this idea drifted like a seed on the wind until it found fertile ground in the heart of the desert. It landed in Baghdad. It is the 9th century, the golden age of Islam. While Europe sleeps in the dim light of the Dark Ages, Baghdad is glowing. It is a city of libraries, a city of gardens, a city of wisdom. Here in a place called the House of Wisdom, scholars from all over the world gather to translate the secrets of the universe. They translate Greek, Persian, and Sanskrit into Arabic. The air here smells of ink and old paper. The sound is the gentle scratching of reed pens on parchment. Scritch, scratch, scritch. Enter a man named Al-Khwarizmi. He is a Persian mathematician, a man of deep thought and gentle logic. He encounters the strange mathematical system from India. He sees the 9 figures, 2, 3, up to 9. And he sees the 10th figure, the circle, the emptiness. He is enchanted. He realizes that this system is not just a trick. It is a key. With this circle, he can calculate the movement of the moon. He can divide inheritances. He can map the earth. It makes the difficult become simple. It makes the heavy become light. He takes the Sanskrit word Shunya, meaning void, and translates it into Arabic. He calls it cipher. Can you hear the wind in that word? It sounds like a whisper. It sounds like the desert breeze passing through an empty window. Cipher. It means empty. This word, cipher, will travel further than Al-Khwarizmi ever could. It will cross the Mediterranean Sea. It will change its shape and sound as it moves from tongue to tongue. In Latin, it will become Zephyrum. In Italian, it will become Zephyro. And finally, in the dialect of Venice, it will be shortened to the word we know today, zero. But before it becomes zero, it must cross the sea. Imagine the blue waters of the Mediterranean, the waves rolling gently against the hull of a ship. A young Italian boy named Leonardo is traveling to North Africa. We know him today as Fibonacci. He is the son of a merchant. He walks the markets of Bugia in present-day Algeria. He watches the Arab merchants calculate. They are fast. They are efficient. They do not use clunky Roman numerals. They do not use the abacus with its sliding beads. They use a pen. They use 10 symbols. And they use the cipher. Fibonacci is amazed. He sees that the Roman numerals, the I, the V, the X, are like heavy stones. They are hard to move. But these new numbers, they are like birds. They can fly. They can stack. They can multiply. He brings this treasure back to Italy. In the year 1202, he writes a book called Liber Abaci, the Book of Calculation. He introduces the 9 Indian figures and the sign 0. He plants the seed in the soil of Europe. But the soil is hard. The soil is cold. Europe is not ready for the void. In the medieval mind, everything must have a purpose. Everything must be created by God. God is something. Therefore, nothing must be the absence of God. And the absence of God is the work of the devil. The church is suspicious. The bankers are suspicious. In the year 1299, the city of Florence, the city of art and beauty, bans the use of 0. They make it illegal. Why? They say it is dangerous. They say it is confusing. But mostly, they are afraid of fraud. A Roman X is hard to change, but a 0, a simple circle. You can easily turn a 0 into a 6 or a 9 with just a stroke of a pen. It felt dishonest. It felt slippery, and deeper down, there was a philosophical fear. How can you lend money at interest based on nothing? How can you multiply by nothing? It felt like magic, dark magic. So 0 went underground. Merchants used it. They called it the cipher, a code word for something hidden. It became a secret language of trade. While the priests preached against the void, the merchants calculated their profits in the quiet of their back rooms, guided by the silent circle. It is a strange time in history. A battle between the old and the new. Between the solid, unmoving stone of the Roman numerals and the fluid, flowing water of the Arabic numerals. But water always wins against stone. Not by force, but by persistence. Slowly, very slowly, the fear began to fade. The utility of 0 was too great to ignore. Just as the sun melts the winter ice, the logic of 0 melted the superstition. The artists of the Renaissance began to use it. They discovered the vanishing point in painting a point of 0 dimensions where all lines meet. a point of infinity. Suddenly, paintings had depth. They had distance. They looked real. Zero gave the world a third dimension. The bankers accepted it. The scientists accepted it. The circle was no longer a hole in the universe. It was a lens through which we could see the universe more clearly. Imagine the relief. The world finally exhaled. The tension of trying to hold everything up with Roman columns was gone. Zero arrived like a soft pillow, allowing mathematics to rest, allowing equations to balance. From the sands of India to the markets of Baghdad to the ports of Italy, the traveler had finally arrived home. The circle was complete. Now take a moment to feel that journey. The distance traveled. The centuries passed. All that history, all that struggle, just so you could look at a clock, or a price tag, or a page number, and see that simple, perfect oval. It is quiet now. The resistance is over. Zero is everywhere. It is in the computer that plays this recording. It is in the code that carries my voice. It is the silence between the bits of data. The battle is won, and the prize is peace. Let us drift away from the history books now. Let us drift away from the maps and the dates. The story of how zero arrived is finished. Now we must understand what zero actually is. We are going to move from the dusty roads of history into the cool, abstract world of pure mathematics. But do not worry. We will not do any hard work. We will just watch. We will watch the numbers dance. Imagine a long, straight line stretching out into the darkness. It goes on forever to the left and forever to the right. A horizon of infinite possibility. In the very center of this line, there is a house. A small, quiet house where the lights are always dim. This is the home of zero. To the right of the house live the positive numbers. 1, 2. They march off into the distance, getting larger and larger, louder and louder. They are the numbers of accumulation, the numbers of more. To the left of the house live the negative numbers. They are the mirror images, the reflections in a dark lake. They represent debt loss, coldness, and zero sits in the middle. It is the only number that is neither positive nor negative. It takes no sides. It has no charge. It is the Switzerland of numbers. If you multiply a number by zero, what happens? 5 times 0. 1,000,000 times 0. The answer is always 0. It is the great equalizer. It calms everything down. No matter how big, how loud, or how complex a number is, if it touches 0, it becomes silent. It returns to the source. There is something incredibly soothing about that rule. In a world where things are constantly growing, expanding, and getting complicated, 0 has the power to reset everything. It is the off button. It is the deep sleep of the number line. Think of it as a black hole, but a gentle one. A soft gravity that pulls all the noise into a single point of silence. And then there is the rule of division. What happens if you try to divide a number by 0? If you take an apple and divide it into 2 pieces, you have 2 halves. If you divide it into 1 piece, you have the whole apple. But if you try to divide it into 0 pieces, what happens? Mathematics breaks. The calculator gives an error. The equation dissolves. Undefined. It is a mystery that we cannot solve. It is a forbidden door. It tells us that there are limits to what we can do. We cannot cut something into nothing. We cannot force the void to participate in our division. 0 refuses to be divided. It stays whole. It stays intact. It reminds us that there are mysteries in this universe that are not meant to be opened. Some things are just meant to be. Let your mind float on that number line. You are standing at the center, at the 0 point. To your right is the future. To your left is the past. But you are here, in the center, in the now. 0 is the now. The past is gone. It is a negative. The future has not happened. It is a positive. But the present moment, this exact second, has no dimension. It is a point. It is a 0. You are safe here, in the center of the line. Nothing is pushing you. Nothing is pulling you. You are perfectly balanced. Feel the symmetry of the universe. For every up, there is a down. For every hot, there is a cold. For every light, there is a shadow. And holding them all together, keeping them from crashing into each other, is the quiet, neutral presence of the void. We have learned its history. We have seen its power. But the true magic of 0 is not in the math books. It is in the sky above us. It is in the physics of the stars. So let us leave the number line behind. Let us dissolve the paper and the ink. Let us lift off from the ground. We are going up into the true emptiness, into the space where 0 rules supreme. We are going to the stars. We are floating now, far above the earth, far above the libraries and the marketplaces. Up here, the air is gone. The sound of the wind is gone. We have entered the domain of the great zero, the vacuum of space. When you look up at the night sky from the ground, you see the stars. You see the constellations. You see the moon. Your eyes are drawn to the light. You think the universe is made of these bright, burning objects, but that is an illusion. The universe is almost entirely nothing. If you were to take all the stars, the planets, and all the dust in the cosmos, and squash them together, they would take up less than 1% of the space. The other 99% is just the void. It is vast. It is silent. It is dark. But this darkness is not empty in a sad way. It is empty like a blank canvas waiting for a painting. It is empty like a quiet room waiting for a guest. It is spacious. Imagine the freedom of that space. No walls, no ceilings, no floors, just an endless velvet ocean of zero. And the most amazing thing is not just the space between the stars. It is the space inside you. Let us shrink down, smaller than a planet, smaller than a person, smaller than a cell. Let us journey into the heart of an atom. You are made of atoms. The chair you are sitting on is made of atoms. The pillow under your head is made of atoms. We are taught that these things are solid. We touch them and they feel hard. But this too is an illusion. An atom is almost entirely empty space. Imagine an atom is the size of a football stadium. The nucleus, the heavy center of the atom, would be a marble sitting on the center line. And the electrons, they would be tiny gnats buzzing around the very top row of the seats. Everything else, the whole field, the stands, the air, is empty space. Zero. You are 99.99% empty space. You are a ghost held together by forces pretending to be solid. If we removed all the empty space from all the human beings on Earth, all 8 billion of us, if we took away the zeros and squeezed just the matter together, the entire human race would fit inside a sugar cube. Think about that. All our history, all our noise, all our buildings, condensed into a single sugar cube. The rest is just the illusion of size created by the emptiness. Does that make you feel small? Or does it make you feel light? It means you are not heavy. You are mostly made of silence. You are mostly made of the void. You are walking through the world, carrying your own personal universe of empty space within you. And just as space is quiet, it is also still. In our world, everything is moving. Heat is movement. When you boil water, the molecules dance faster and faster. When you are warm, your atoms are vibrating. But the universe prefers the cold. It prefers the stillness. Scientists have a scale for temperature called Kelvin. And at the very bottom of this scale, there is a point called absolute zero. 0 Kelvin. It is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. Absolute zero is the point of perfect rest. At this temperature, atoms stop moving. They stop vibrating. They stop dancing. They simply sit. It is the deepest sleep in the universe. We have never found a place that is perfectly absolute zero. Nature always has a tiny bit of heat, a tiny bit of shivering. But the deep voids of space come very, very close. They are the quietest places in existence. Imagine being an atom in that deep darkness, drifting. No collisions, no friction, no noise, just perfect suspended animation. It is a beautiful thought, a state of total pause, a state where time holds its breath. But even in the deepest emptiness, even in the coldest void, there is a secret. And this is the final mystery of zero. For a long time, we thought the vacuum was truly empty. We thought that if you took away all the air and all the particles, you would have nothing left. But quantum physics whispers a different story. It tells us that the void is alive. Even in perfect emptiness, energy is shimmering. Tiny particles, virtual particles, are popping into existence and then vanishing again, all in a fraction of a nanosecond, like bubbles rising to the surface of a dark ocean and disappearing. Blink, and they are there. Blink, and they are gone. The nothingness is breathing. The zero is vibrating with potential. It is not a dead emptiness. It is a pregnant emptiness. It is waiting to give birth to something. So when you look at the dark, or when you close your eyes, do not see it as a lack of things. See it as the source of things. The music comes from the silence between the notes. The words come from the white space on the page. The universe comes from the zero. We have traveled from the stone tablets of Babylon to the stars of the Milky Way. We have seen the zero as a placeholder, as a number, as a philosophy, and as the fabric of reality. We have seen that it is not something to fear. It is something to embrace. As we begin our descent back to earth, back to your room, back to your body, carry this lightness with you. You are part of this vast, quiet system. You do not need to be Saeed all the time. You do not need to be something all the time. It is okay to be empty. It is okay to be zero, because only when you are empty can you be filled with sleep. Music begins to slow down even more, becoming very minimal. Just a low hum and a soft rhythmic pulse like a heartbeat. Now we are drifting down, past the moon, past the clouds. The air is returning. The warmth is returning. But the quiet remains. We are entering the final phase of our journey. The phase of integration. The phase where the math lesson ends and the dreaming begins. Let gravity take hold of you again. Not the heavy gravity of the earth, but the gentle gravity of your bed, pulling you down softly, pulling you into the center of your own circle. We are ready to close the book. We are ready to erase the chalkboard one last time. Let us prepare for the final countdown. Not a countdown to a rocket launch, but a countdown to silence. From the world of many, back to the world of none. The journey through history and the cosmos is fading now. We have returned from the cold, quiet edges of the universe. We have returned from the ancient sands of Babylon. You are back in your room. You are back in this moment. The air around you is still. The shadows are soft. But before we drift completely away, there is one last place where zero lives. It is hidden in plain sight. It is hidden in the very device that is playing my voice. Think about the world we live in today. It is a world of speed, of light, of screens. But underneath all that complexity, the language of the modern world is surprisingly simple. It is a language of only two words, 1 and 0, on and off, yes and no. Every picture you see on a screen, every song you stream, every message you send is just a long flowing river of ones and zeros. The 1 is the pulse of energy. It is the doing. It is the waking state. But the 0 is the pause. It is the space between the pulses. Without the 0, the computer would just be a stuck note, a constant scream of energy. It is the 0 that gives the data its shape. It is the 0 that makes the information readable. Even in the frenetic, buzzing world of technology, the void is essential. Now think of your own body as a biological computer. All day long, you have been in the state of 1. You have been on. Your eyes were processing light. Your muscles were holding tension. Your brain was firing neurons. 1, 1, 1, 1. But now, the sun has set. The work is done. It is time to toggle the switch. It is time to embrace the zero. Sleep is your biological zero. It is the system reset. It is the defragmentation of the mind. When you sleep, you are not disappearing. You are simply clearing the cache. You are erasing the temporary files of the day so that tomorrow you can start with a fresh, clean screen. So do not fight the off switch. It is safe to power down. The world will save your progress. You will not lose anything. Just let go. Let us try to apply the wisdom of Brahmagupta to your own muscles. Do you remember the rule? When zero is subtracted from a burden, the burden becomes lighter. Let's do some subtraction now. We are going to calculate your relaxation. Focus on your forehead, the skin between your eyebrows. Is there a number there? Is there a frown? Is there a tension that feels like a 10 or a 5? Imagine taking a soft eraser. Rub it gently across your forehead. Subtract the tension. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Smooth, blank, empty. Move down to your jaw. Unclench your teeth. Let the tongue rest on the floor of your mouth. If your jaw is holding a 3 of tension, let it drop. Subtract the 3. Let it hang loose. Let it reach 0. Move down to your shoulders. They have been carrying the weight of gravity all day. They are holding up the 1s and the 10s of your responsibilities. But right now, you don't need to carry anything. Imagine the numbers sliding off your shoulders like water, dropping away. Let your shoulders sink into the mattress. Heavy, still, 0. Move down to your hands. Your fingers are curled softly. They are not grasping anything. They are not typing. They are not holding. They are open. Empty hands. Peaceful hands. Move down to your chest. Feel your breath. Inhale. The circle rises. Exhale. The circle falls. Don't try to control it. The math of your breath is automatic. It knows how to count itself. Just watch the rhythm. 1, 0. 1, 0. Move down to your legs, your knees, your feet. Wiggle your toes for a second, and then stop. Let them turn off. Feel the signal from your brain to your feet fading out. The connection is soft. The wire is unplugged. Your whole body is becoming a heavy equation that has been solved. The answer is peace. In art, the vanishing point is where the road meets the horizon. It is where everything becomes too small to see. We are walking towards that point now. Imagine you are standing in a vast white room. It is infinite. In the center of the room, there is a comfortable chair. You sit down. The room is safe. It is quiet. Slowly, the lights in the room begin to dim. Not all at once, but one by one. Like candles being blown out. The light of worry goes out. Puff. The light of planning goes out. Puff. The light of regret goes out. Puff. The room is getting darker. A velvety, soft darkness. You are comfortable with this darkness. You know it. It is the Shunya. It is the womb of the universe. You are no longer a person with a name, a job, and a history. You are just a point of consciousness. A single, tiny dot floating in the velvet void. Floating. Drifting. Weightless. There is no past here. There is no future here. There is only the gentle, rhythmic humming of the silence. You are safe in the zero. Long pause. 10 seconds of silence. We are approaching the final gate. The gate of deep sleep. To pass through this gate, we must count. But we will not count up. We will not add. We will count down. We will subtract. We will go from 10 down to the void. With every number, you will go deeper. With every number, a layer of your mind will turn off. Are you ready? Let the numbers guide you home. 10. The outer world is fading. The sounds of the house are drifting away. They are just echoes now. They do not matter. 9. Your body is sinking deeper into the bed. You are melting into the mattress. There is no separation between you and the bed. 8. Your eyelids are heavy. So heavy. They are sealed shut with the glue of sleep. 7. Your thoughts are slowing down. They are like clouds moving across a windless sky. Slow, drifting, changing shape, disappearing. 6. You are letting go of the control. You don't need to steer the ship anymore. The river is taking you. 5. Halfway there, the twilight is turning into night. The stars are coming out. The zeros of the sky. 4. Deeper and deeper. Down into the cool, quiet earth. Down into the roots of rest. 3. Peace. Total peace. Nothing needs to be done. Nothing needs to be solved. 2. Drifting. Floating. Falling gently. 1. You are at the edge. The last step. The last light. 0. Nothing. Just nothing. Sleep. You are drifting deep in the comfort of the void. But the story of nothing is not just found in the desert or in the stars. There is another place where zero was born, a place far, far away from the sands of Arabia. While your mind floats, let us gently shift the scenery. Imagine the air getting humid, thick, sweet, with the smell of wet earth and green leaves. We are traveling across the great ocean to the deep jungles of Central America, to the world of the Maya. 2,000 years ago, deep in the rainforests of what is now Mexico and Guatemala, the Maya people were building pyramids that touched the clouds. They were obsessed with time. For them, time was not a straight line like a ruler. Time was a circle, a majestic, endless spiral of days and nights. And to count these days, they needed a zero. But they did not use a circle. They looked at nature. They looked at the ocean. And they chose a shell. Imagine a conch shell lying on the beach. Sound of ocean waves gently lapping. It is spiraled. It is beautiful. But most importantly, it is empty. The creature that lived inside is gone. What remains is a house of silence, a container for the wind. The Maya drew their zero as a stylized shell, or sometimes a flower, or a hand covering a jaw. It was poetic. For them, zero was not just nothing. It was the moment of completion. Like a shell is complete, like a flower that has bloomed and now rests. Imagine the Maya astronomers standing on top of their stone observatories at Chichen Itza. The jungle stretches out forever around them, a sea of green. Rain is falling. Pitter, patter, pitter, patter. They counted the days until the rain would come. They counted the movements of Venus. And whenever a cycle ended, whenever a calendar round was full, they placed the shell, the zero. It meant the cycle is finished. The burden is set down. We rest before we begin again. Think of your own day like that Maya calendar. You have carried the burden of the morning. You have carried the burden of the afternoon. Now the cycle is complete. You have reached the shell. You are curling up inside that shell now. It is smooth. It is cool. It protects you from the noise outside. Inside the shell, there is only the sound of the ocean, the sound of your own blood rushing gently in your ears. Whoosh, whoosh. The Maya believed that time was a burden carried by the gods. Each day, a god would put on a strap and carry the sun across the sky. At sunset, he would sit down and rest, handing the burden to the next god. The moment of the handover, that moment of rest, is the zero. You are resting now. You have put down the strap. The sun has set. The jungle is singing its lullaby. Let us leave the jungle now. The rain is fading. We are floating into a different kind of quiet. We are entering the world of sound. Have you ever thought about what makes music beautiful? Is it the notes, the loud piano keys, the strum of the guitar? No. If you played all the notes at once, it would be noise. It would be chaos. What makes it music is the silence between the notes. Music is the art of arranging zeros. There is a famous composer named Claude Debussy. He once said, "Music is the space between the notes." Imagine a pianist sitting at a grand piano. He plays a single low note. Bong. And then he waits. The sound vibrates. It hangs in the air. It slowly fades away. That fade, that waiting, that is the magic. That is the zero. If there were no silence, there would be no rhythm. Think of your heartbeat. Thump, 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 thump. The life is in the pause. The life is in the rest. If your heart didn't have that zero moment, that fraction of a second of total relaxation, it would not be able to beat again. Rest is not the end of work. Rest is the fuel for work. Silence is not the end of sound. Silence is the canvas for sound. I want you to listen to the silence in your room right now. Don't listen to my voice. Listen to what is underneath my voice. Is it a hum? Is it a stillness? It is a thick, velvet blanket that covers everything. In the 20th century, another composer named John Cage wrote a piece of music called 4 minutes and 33 seconds. Do you know what happens in this piece? The musician walks onto the stage. He sits at the piano. He opens the lid. And he does nothing. He sits there for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. He plays 0 notes. The audience sits and listens. At first, they are confused, but then they start to hear the real music. They hear the wind outside the hall. They hear the creaking of the chairs. They hear their own breathing. Cage was teaching us that there is no such thing as empty silence. The world is always singing to us if we stop making noise ourselves. The zero is full of life. Tonight, you are performing your own version of that silent symphony. You are lying still. You are stopping the output. You are becoming the audience to your own dreams. We are drifting deeper now. The shell of the Maya protects us. The silence of the music soothes us. Let us go to one last place, a place of pure science, but it feels like magic. The quantum vacuum. Scientists used to think that if you cooled space down to absolute zero, everything would stop. But they found something strange. Even at the bottom of reality, there is a tiny, tiny vibration. They call it the 0-point energy. It means that the universe can never truly turn off. It means that even when you are fully asleep, fully at rest, you are still connected to an infinite source of energy. You don't have to do anything to get it. It is just there. It is the background hum of existence. Think of a mobile phone placed on a charging pad. It doesn't have to move. It doesn't have to work. It just lies there still, and the energy flows into it. Wireless, invisible, silent. Sleep is your charging pad. By reaching zero, by stopping your thoughts, stopping your muscles, you align yourself with the 0-point field. You are letting the universe recharge you. So being lazy is good. Being still is necessary. You are not wasting time. You are gathering power. The stiller you become, the more you receive. Let your body get heavy. Heavier than stone. Heavier than iron. Sink into the charging pad. Feel the gentle buzz of life restoring you. Now the story is beginning to loop. Like the Maya calendar, like the circle of the 0, we are back to the beginning, but deeper. Do you remember the gap in the clay tablet? That gap is now in your mind. A gap between thoughts. Do you remember the circle of Brahmagupta? That circle is now your breath. Do you remember the vastness of space? That space is now your sleep. Everything is a circle. You wake, you work, you sleep. You wake, you work, you sleep. It is a rhythm, like the waves. I am going to leave you here, drifting in the warm ocean of the 0. You don't need to listen to the words anymore. The words are just ripples on the surface. You are deep underwater now. The numbers are gone. The history is gone. There is only you and the velvet dark. Sleep inside the circle. Sleep inside the shell. Sleep inside the silence. We have looked at the 0 in the sky. We have looked at the 0 in the computer. But nature has its own 0. It is not written in ink or carved in stone. It is written in the seasons. Think of the cycle of the year. Spring is the number 1. It is the beginning. the explosion of green, the waking up. Summer is the number 10. It is full, loud, hot, buzzing with insects and light. Autumn is the subtraction. The leaves fall, the colors fade. Nature is doing the math of taking away, and then comes winter. Winter is the season of zero. Imagine a great forest in the middle of January. The trees have stripped off their leaves. They are no longer doing anything. They are not growing fruit. They are not drinking water. They stand there like black ink strokes against the white snow. They look dead, but they are not dead. They are in a state of suspended animation. They have pulled all their energy, their sap, deep down into their roots, hidden under the frozen earth. They are waiting. They are holding their breath. This is the patience of nature. Nature knows that you cannot be on all the time. You cannot bloom all year round. If a tree tried to grow flowers in the winter, it would die. So it enters the zero state. It sleeps. Tonight, you are like that tree. You are shedding the leaves of the day. You are pulling your energy inward, deep into your core. You are not dead to the world. You are simply waiting for the sun of tomorrow morning. It is safe to be bare. It is safe to be still. Let the snow fall around you. It covers everything in a blanket of silence. Look down at the ground. Imagine holding a tiny dry seed in the palm of your hand, maybe an acorn or a grain of wheat. It feels hard. It feels like a pebble. If you put a stethoscope to it, you would hear nothing. No heartbeat, no breath, no movement. It is a biological zero, but inside that hard shell, there is a map of a giant oak tree, a map of a golden field. The seed is the ultimate magic trick of biology. It is nothing that contains everything. How long can a seed wait? In the zero state, scientists have found seeds buried in the ice of Siberia for 30,000 years. 30,000 years sleeping, waiting. And when they planted them, they grew, they blossomed. This tells us something profound about rest. Rest is not a waste of time. Rest is a preservative. By entering the zero state, the seed protects its life force. It stops the clock. When you sleep, you are becoming a seed. You are curling up. You are shutting out the light. You are preserving yourself. You are not losing time. You are saving time. Feel yourself becoming small, compact, protected. A tiny point of potential in the dark soil of your bed. You don't need to grow right now. You don't need to achieve. You just need to be. Let us travel deeper into the forest to a cave hidden behind a waterfall. Inside, curled into a tight ball of fur, lies a bear. It is hibernating. Hibernation is the art of approaching zero without dying. The bear's heart, which usually beats 40 times a minute, slows down. Thump, thump. 8 beats a minute. Sometimes less. The bear does not eat. It does not drink. It exists on the energy it stored in the past. It trusts its body completely. It surrenders to the long night. And then there is the wood frog, a tiny creature in North America. When winter comes, the wood frog does something impossible. It freezes, solid. Its heart stops completely. 0 beats. Its blood stops flowing. If you touched it, it would feel like an ice cube. For months, it is technically dead. It has embraced the absolute zero of biology. But when the spring thaw comes, the ice melts. The heart gives a little twitch. Thump. And then another. Thump. And the frog hops away. Nature is resilient because it knows how to stop. We humans have forgotten how to stop. We think we must always be moving, always be warm, always be thinking. But tonight, we learn from the frog and the bear. We lower our temperature. We slow our breath. We trust that when the morning comes, we will thaw. But for now, let the ice come. Let the coolness settle in your bones. Cool, still, frozen in time. There is a fancy word in biology called homeostasis. It comes from Greek. Homeo means same. Stasis means standing still. It basically means the body always wants to return to zero. Think of a weighing scale. If you put stress on one side, the scale tips. If you get too hot, the body sweats to cool you down. If you get too cold, the body shivers to warm you up. Your body is constantly working, fighting, adjusting, just to get back to the center, back to the balanced level line. 0 pain, 0 hunger, 0 thirst, 0 anxiety. That is the goal of your biology. It doesn't want to be excited. It wants to be neutral. Bliss is not a high peak. Bliss is a flat line of peace. Scan your body now. Where is the scale tipped? Are you holding on to the heat of anger? Are you holding on to the arrows of fear? Imagine your biological fluids rushing to that spot, soothing it, cooling it, warming it, bringing it back to the center. Feel your blood pressure lowering. The rivers inside you are calming down. They are no longer rushing rapids. They are a flat, glass-like lake. This is the healing power of zero. When you reach that neutral point, your cells start to repair. The construction workers come out at night. They fix the muscles. They knit the bones. They clean the brain. But they can only work when the factory is closed. They can only work when the noise is zero. So close the factory gates. Turn off the lights in the warehouse. Let the night shift take over. They know what to do. You don't have to supervise them. Trust your body's wisdom. Trust the zero. Let us walk out of the forest now. We come to the edge of the ocean. Look at the horizon, where the sky meets the sea. It is a perfectly straight line. 0 degrees. The ocean is huge. It is deep. It is powerful. But at the horizon, it looks simple. It looks flat. That line is the limit of our vision. We cannot see past it. And that is okay. You don't need to see what is happening tomorrow. You don't need to see what is happening next year. You only need to see the horizon of tonight. The sun has gone below that line. The stars are sinking below that line. And now your thoughts are sinking below that line. Everything is flattening out. The mountains of your problems are becoming flat sand. The waves of your emotions are becoming still water. The world is turning into a smooth, dark sphere. We are returning to the shape of the circle, the shape of the cell, the shape of the seed, the shape of the planet, the shape of zero. We are almost at the end of our journey through nature. We have been the tree. We have been the seed. We have been the bear. We have been the frog. We have been the ocean. All of them share the same secret. They know how to rest. They do not apologize for resting. They do not feel guilty for sleeping. It is the law of nature, and you are a child of nature. So you must obey the law. The law says it is time to stop, 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 zero. We are walking out of the wild now. We are entering a house. But before we look at the walls or the roof, I want you to look at something small. Imagine a cup sitting on a table, a simple teacup. 2,000 years ago, the philosopher Lao Tzu wrote about this up. He said, "We mold clay into a pot, but it is the emptiness inside that makes the vessel useful." Think about that. We spend so much time obsessing over the walls of our lives. The clay, our job, our car, our clothes, our body, the structure. But the structure is not the point. The point of the cup is the empty space inside. That is where the tea goes. That is where the life goes, without the zero in the middle. The cup is just a block of clay. It is useless. You are a vessel too. If your mind is full of thoughts, full of worries, full of clay, then there is no room for sleep to enter. You must empty the cup. Imagine tipping your head gently to the side, pouring out the thoughts, like old cold tea, pouring out the plans for tomorrow, pouring out the regrets of yesterday. Watch them spill away. Now, your cup is clean. Your cup is empty. It is ready to be filled with the warm, dark liquid of dreams. Let us travel in our minds to a quiet house in Kyoto, Japan. The floor is made of tatami mats. The walls are made of paper. There is almost no furniture, just a single flower in a vase and a scroll on the wall. The Japanese have a word for this emptiness. They call it ma-jian. It translates to negative space or the gap. In the West, we think of space as something that separates things. This chair is here, and that table is there, and the space in between is just distance. But in Japan, ma is not just distance. Ma is a bridge. Ma is the pause that gives meaning to the action. Look at your own bedroom in your mind's eye. Look at the objects, the dresser, the chair, the clothes. Now, ignore the objects. Look at the space between the objects. Focus on the air. Focus on the distance. Imagine that the empty space is a solid thing, a soft, invisible gel that holds everything together. Expand that space. Push the walls of your room outwards. Push the ceiling upwards. Make the ma bigger. When the space gets bigger, the objects get smaller. Your problems are objects. Your stress is an object. As you expand the room of your mind, the stress becomes a tiny speck of dust in a vast, empty cathedral. It cannot hurt you. It is too small. The zero is bigger than the one. Now we are going to do some interior design. We are going to renovate the room inside your head. Right now, it might feel cluttered, noisy, crowded. Let's embrace the minimalism of zero. We are going to remove everything that doesn't belong to sleep. Imagine walking into the living room of your mind. There is a sofa called work. Pick it up. It feels heavy. But you are strong with the power of zero. Dissolve it. Turn it into mist. Blow it away. Poof. There is a television called news. It is loud. It is flashing. Pull the plug. Watch the screen go black. Now dissolve the TV itself. Poof. There are piles of papers called responsibilities. Open the window. Let a gentle wind blow them out, spiraling into the night sky like white birds. They are gone. Now look at the room. White walls, smooth wooden floor, soft light. Nothing else. Just space. How does it feel to stand in an empty room? Does it feel lonely? No. It feels spacious. It feels free. You can breathe here. There are no obstacles to bump into. You can lie down on the floor, spread your arms, and occupy the whole space. This is the architecture of silence. You have built a sanctuary of zero inside your own skull. Whenever the world gets too loud, you can come back here, to the white room, to the empty cup. Every house has a door, a threshold, the line that separates the outside from the inside. The outside is the world of wind and noise and action. The inside is the world of warmth and safety and rest. You are standing at that threshold right now. The doorway to sleep. It is a heavy wooden door, ancient, carved with the symbols of the moon and the stars. You are standing on the doormat. Leave your shoes here. Your shoes are your identity, your name, your title, your ego. You don't need them inside. Step out of them. Wiggle your toes. Now, place your hand on the door handle. It is cool metal. Turn it. Click. The latch opens. Push the door open. It swings silently on well-oiled hinges. Inside, it is dark, but it is a welcoming dark, a velvet dark. The air smells of lavender and old books. Step through. Cross the zero line. Turn around. Close the door behind you. Thud. Lock it. Click. You are inside now. The world is outside. The noise is outside. The demands are outside. They cannot get in. The door is locked. The walls are thick. You are in the inner sanctum. The zero room. We are safe inside. But in the world of dreams, even walls are too solid. We want to be limitless. So let us do one final magic trick. We are going to dissolve the house. You are lying in your bed. Imagine the ceiling above you, slowly becoming transparent, turning into glass, and then into air. You can see the night sky again, the stars we visited earlier. Imagine the walls around you, turning into mist. They drift away. Imagine the floor beneath you, turning into a cloud. You are no longer in a building. You are floating in the great zero. Structure has gone. Only the sensation of floating remains. You are a geometric point. No length, no width, no height. Just location. Just presence. You are the center of the circle. Everything revolves around you, but you do not move. You are the eye of the storm, the calm, the quiet, the zero. We have arrived. The math is finished. The history is finished. The journey is finished. There is nothing left to say. There is nothing left to count. 1, 0. Good night.